Imagine a life where fear no longer holds you captive, a life where you approach every challenge with calm clarity and unshakable confidence. Sounds ideal, doesn't it? But here's the reality. Fear and anxiety are struggles we all face. They creep into our thoughts, keep us awake at night, and stop us from living the life we truly want. Now, what if I told you that the ancient teachings of Buddhism, principles that have guided millions toward peace and wisdom for over 2,500 years, contain proven tools to break free from fear's grip? These teachings go beyond philosophy. They provide actionable insights to transform your mindset and reclaim your inner strength. In today's video, we're diving into 6 profound lessons from the Buddha that will help you overcome fear, embrace life with courage, and push past your limitations. Stay tuned until the end because we have a powerful bonus lesson that could be the key to unlocking lasting freedom from fear. So, if you're ready to rise above fear and step boldly into the life you deserve, let's get started. Lesson 1. Embrace impermanence. What is it that holds you back? The fear of failure, the fear of loss, or perhaps the fear of uncertainty? Fear, at its core, often stems from one common misconception, that life is unchanging and predictable. But what if the very idea of permanence is the root of our suffering? In Buddhist philosophy, the first lesson is this: embrace impermanence. This truth is as liberating as it is challenging. Everything in life is temporary. Our joys, our struggles, even the fear we feel so intensely in the moment. Clinging to the illusion of stability in an ever-changing world only deepens our anxiety. Imagine a river. Its waters flow, twist, and turn, never the same for even a moment. Now, imagine trying to hold on to a single drop, refusing to let it go as the current moves forward. This is how fear grips us, by anchoring our thoughts to what we cannot control. The Buddha taught, nothing is forever except change. When we resist this truth, we invite suffering, but when we accept it, we find freedom. Think about a time when fear consumed you. Perhaps you were worried about a looming deadline, a difficult conversation, or an uncertain future. Did that fear remain forever, or did it pass like a cloud drifting across the sky? To embrace impermanence is to understand that fear, too, is fleeting. Instead of wrestling with it, observe it. Ask yourself, what is this fear trying to teach me? Acknowledge it without judgment and let it move on, just as a wave returns to the sea. Lesson 2. Understand the nature of suffering. Why do we suffer? Why does fear tighten its grip when life feels uncertain? The answer lies in one profound truth taught by the Buddha. Suffering is universal. Fear, anxiety, and pain aren't signs of weakness or personal failure. They are part of the human experience, deeply rooted in our attachments and aversions. Imagine a traveler carrying a heavy sack on a long journey. The sack holds everything they cling to: expectations, fears of loss, and desires for control. Each step becomes harder as the weight grows unbearable. This traveler is all of us. We carry the burden of attachments, terrified of losing what we hold dear or facing what we wish to avoid. The Buddha called this the nature of suffering, or dukkha. He taught that much of our suffering comes from clinging to things we think will make us happy, or pushing away what we fear will cause pain. But life doesn't always go the way we expect. When reality doesn't match our hopes, we suffer. Now let's pause and think. What if we could look at suffering in a new way? Instead of seeing fear and anxiety as something personal and isolating, what if we understood them as part of being human? When fear overwhelms you, whether it's the fear of failure, rejection, or the unknown, it's easy to feel like you're the only one going through it. But the truth is, Everyone you meet has felt fear and anxiety at some point. It's part of the shared human experience. This shift in understanding changes everything. It removes the feeling of self-blame and opens the door to compassion, not just for others, but for yourself. When you realize that suffering connects us all, you start to see fear not as an enemy, but as a teacher. It reminds you that you're human and invites you to grow. The Buddha once said, "Suffering is universal, but so is the path to freedom." So, what is that path? It starts with acceptance. Accepting that fear and suffering are part of life doesn't mean giving up or falling into despair. It means letting go of the struggle against reality. It means freeing yourself from the isolation that fear can create. The next time fear arises, remind yourself, this is part of being human. You are not broken. You are not alone. Use this realization to practice kindness toward yourself and others. Offer a comforting word to someone struggling, knowing their pain mirrors your own. In doing so, you'll find strength in shared humanity and take the first step toward freedom. Lesson 3. See the illusion of fear. What is fear, really? Is it a monster lurking in the shadows, ready to strike at any moment? Or is it something else, something far less real but just as powerful? Fear, as the Buddha taught, is often an illusion, a mental projection of the worst-case scenarios our minds create. Imagine standing in a dark room, heart racing as you see a coiled snake on the floor. You freeze, paralyzed by the thought of danger. But when someone turns on the light, you realize it's only a rope. This is how fear operates. It thrives in the darkness of the unknown and the imagined. Fear is not a fact. It's a fleeting thought, a story your mind tells to protect you from potential harm. But here's the truth. Most of the things we fear never happen. The failures we dread, the rejections we anticipate, the losses we brace ourselves for, these are often figments of our imagination, not reality. The Buddha taught that to overcome fear, we must see it for what it truly is, an illusion. When fear grips you, pause and ask yourself, is this threat real, or is it something my mind has created? This single moment of awareness can shift your perspective and dissolve fear's hold over you. Think of a time when you were consumed by fear, perhaps the fear of speaking up, starting something new, or facing an uncertain future. Did those fears come to pass as catastrophically as you imagined? More often than not, the answer is no. The snake was just a rope. In our modern lives, fear often disguises itself as overthinking and anxiety. It whispers, "What if you fail? What if you're not enough?" But when you shine the light of awareness on these thoughts, you see them for what they are, shadows, not reality. The Buddha said, "Fear is not a fact, but a fleeting thought. Shine the light of awareness on it, and it will dissolve." This wisdom is a powerful reminder that we don't have to believe everything our minds tell us. The next time fear rises within you, take a breath. Pause. Observe your thoughts. Ask yourself, is this fear based on truth, or is it an illusion I've created? In that moment of clarity, you take back your power. Fear loses its grip when you recognize it for what it is, an illusion, and in its place, you'll find courage, clarity, and the freedom to act. Lesson 4. Cultivate mindfulness. Where does fear live? It doesn't exist in the present moment. Fear thrives in the past and future, in the regret of what's already happened and the worry of what could happen. But here's the truth. The present moment is always safe, and that's where mindfulness can help. Mindfulness, a core part of Buddhist practice, is the art of being fully present. It teaches us to observe our thoughts and feelings without judgment, giving us space between ourselves and our fears. Fear lives in the what ifs of tomorrow, but mindfulness brings us back to the calm of now. Imagine you're standing on a beach, watching waves crash on the shore. Each wave is like a thought, some calm, some overwhelming. Without mindfulness, you're swept away by the tide, lost in fear and anxiety. But with mindfulness, you become the observer. You watch the waves come and go, knowing you are not the ocean. You're the one watching it. Fear grows when we dwell on the past, thinking, I shouldn't have done that, or I wish I had said something different, or when we jump into the future, wondering, what if I fail? What if everything goes wrong? In these moments, we forget one simple truth. The only thing we can control is the present moment. When fear arises, mindfulness offers a lifeline. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Feel the air fill your lungs and then leave your body. Notice the sensations around you, the texture of the chair beneath you, the sounds in the room, the rhythm of your heartbeat. This practice of grounding brings you back to the present, where fear has no power. The Buddha taught that mindfulness is the path to freedom from suffering. By observing your thoughts without getting attached to them, you create space to respond, not react. You begin to see fear for what it is, a passing emotion, not a permanent truth. In our busy world, practicing mindfulness may seem hard, but it's simpler than we think. Start small. The next time fear starts to creep in, pause, breathe, ask yourself, what do I hear? What do I see? What do I feel right now? By doing this, you can pull yourself out of the storm of anxious thoughts and into the peace of the present moment. Mindfulness doesn't eliminate fear, but it transforms how we relate to it. It reminds us that while we can't control the waves, we can learn to surf. In the calm of the present, we find clarity, courage, and the strength to move forward. Fear may call you to the past or future, but mindfulness will always guide you back home, to now. Lesson 5. Let go of attachment. Why do we fear losing the things we hold dear? Whether it's a person, a possession, or a dream, we often believe our happiness is tied to them. But in reality, fear is born from attachment, clinging tightly to something in a world that is constantly changing. The Buddha taught that true freedom lies not in holding tight, but in letting go. Imagine holding a handful of sand. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips through your fingers. But when you open your palm, the sand rests gently, undisturbed. Life is like that sand. The harder we cling to people, possessions, or outcomes, the more we invite fear, the fear of loss, failure, and change. Attachment is natural. We all want stability and control. But the irony is, the more we cling, the more vulnerable we become to life's uncertainties. Change is inevitable. Relationships evolve, careers shift, possessions come and go. When we base our happiness on external things, we tether ourselves to the unpredictable and invite fear into our hearts. The Buddha taught non-attachment, not to deny love or ambition, but to embrace them without fear of losing them. It's about focusing on effort, not outcome. Imagine planting a seed in your garden. You water it, nurture it, and care for it, but you cannot control whether it grows or bears fruit. What you can control is your intention and effort. In modern life, practicing non-attachment means shifting your perspective. If you're working toward a goal, pour your heart into the process, but release the need for a specific result. If you love someone, cherish them deeply, but let go of the idea that your happiness depends solely on them. True security comes not from grasping, but from trusting in your inner resilience. The next time fear arises, fear of failure, rejection, or loss, ask yourself, what am I clinging to? What would happen if I let go? This doesn't mean giving up or walking away. It means releasing the need to control every outcome and finding peace in the effort itself. The Buddha once said, "Freedom lies in letting go, not in holding tight." Letting go doesn't mean you care less, it means you trust more. Trust in the flow of life. Trust in your ability to adapt and grow. When you let go of attachment, fear begins to fade. You realize that happiness isn't found in what you hold on to, but in the space you create when you release it. And in that space, there is peace, deep, unshakable peace. Lesson 6. Cultivate patience. Why are we so afraid of waiting? In a world driven by instant results, the unknown can feel unbearable. Impatience magnifies fear, feeding the need for immediate answers, quick fixes, and certainty. But the Buddha taught that patience is the antidote to this turmoil. When we cultivate patience, we learn to trust life's natural rhythm and find peace in its flow. Imagine planting a tree. You nurture the soil, water the seed, and wait. You don't dig it up each day to check its progress. You trust the process, knowing the tree will grow in its own time. Life is no different. Challenges, resolutions, and personal growth take time. When we rush, we create stress, frustration, and fear. But patience transforms that discomfort into wisdom. Think back to a time when fear took hold of you, a job interview, a big decision, or waiting for news that could change everything. Your mind probably raced with what ifs and worst case scenarios. But what if, instead of rushing to find answers, you chose to sit with the uncertainty? What if you trusted that the right answer would come when the time was right? The Buddha taught that patience is a form of strength. It's not about waiting passively, it's about trusting. Patience lets us face challenges with calm, knowing that the storm will pass, the seed will grow, and the answers will come when they are meant to. Bonus Lesson 1. See challenges as chances to grow. What if fear wasn't something to run from, but a guide leading you to growth? It's easy to view challenges as obstacles to avoid, but the truth is, every fear-filled moment holds the potential for change. The Buddha's teachings remind us that fear isn't a wall, it's a bridge to becoming our best selves. Think of a time when fear stood in your way. Maybe it was a new job, moving to a new place, or speaking your truth. Your heart raced, doubts flooded your mind, and you wanted to stay safe. But if you look back now, wasn't that moment a turning point? Didn't it teach you something new, like resilience or courage? Fear comes when we step into the unknown. It's a sign we're moving beyond what we know, and it's in these moments that real growth happens. Instead of fighting fear, what if we saw it as a chance to learn? What if fear wasn't a threat, but a guide? The Buddha taught that challenges aren't punishments, but lessons. When life gets tough, we can ask, what can I learn from this? How can I grow? This way, fear becomes a tool to help us grow stronger and wiser. In today's world, the key to handling challenges is shifting our mindset. When fear shows up, pause and think, this is a chance to grow. Instead of asking, why me? Try asking, what can I learn from this? Changing how we think turns obstacles into opportunities. Think of an athlete training for a marathon. Every step is tough and muscles ache, but they keep going. They know the pain isn't a reason to stop. It's proof they're getting stronger. Life works the same way. Fear is just the discomfort of reaching for your potential. The Buddha said, fear is not a barrier, but a bridge to your greatest self. Fear isn't the enemy, it's the way forward. Every time we face fear, we grow and discover new strengths. Next time you feel fear, welcome it. Let it remind you that you're growing and becoming stronger. Embrace the challenge, learn from it, and remember, fear isn't stopping you, it's helping you move forward. Trust the journey, and you'll find that the growth you want is just ahead. Bonus Lesson 2: Harness the power of self-compassion. When fear strikes, what is the first thing you tell yourself? Do you criticize your reaction, call yourself weak, or wish you could just be braver? Many of us are our own harshest critics, and this inner conflict fuels fear, turning it into something far greater than it needs to be. But the Buddha taught us a powerful truth. Compassion for yourself is the first step to dissolving fear. Imagine a young child standing at the edge of a swimming pool, trembling with fear. Would you yell at them to jump or criticize their hesitation? Of course not. You would gently encourage them, remind them it's okay to be scared, and assure them they're capable of facing this moment. But when it comes to ourselves, we forget that same kindness. Fear often stems from self-judgment. We tell ourselves we shouldn't feel afraid, that we should be stronger or better. But this inner harshness only deepens the fear, making us feel isolated and incapable. Self-compassion is the antidote. It reminds us that fear is not a flaw. It's a universal human experience. In moments of fear, try speaking to yourself as you would to a dear friend. Instead of saying, "Why are you so afraid?" try saying, "It's okay to feel this way. Everyone feels fear at times. You're doing the best you can." This simple shift in how you speak to yourself can soften the grip of fear and build emotional resilience. The Buddha's teachings emphasize that self-compassion is not indulgence, it's strength. It allows you to face challenges with a steady heart, knowing that mistakes, fear, and setbacks are part of the human journey. In modern life, harnessing self-compassion can be transformative. The next time fear arises, pause and acknowledge your feelings without judgment. Place a hand on your heart and take a deep breath. Say to yourself, "I am scared and that's okay. I am human and I'm learning." By doing this, you create a safe inner space to process your emotions without letting fear overwhelm you. The Buddha said, "Compassion for yourself is the first step to dissolving fear." When you treat yourself with kindness, you create the inner stability needed to navigate life's uncertainties. Self-compassion doesn't erase fear, but it gives you the courage to move forward despite it. Remember, fear is not a sign of failure, it's a sign of growth. By meeting it with compassion, you transform it into a teacher. Be gentle with yourself. Fear may visit, but self-compassion will remind you that you have the strength to face it, learn from it, and move beyond it. Fear is not your enemy. It is your greatest teacher. It whispers to you where your deepest attachments and untapped strengths lie. By embracing impermanence, letting go of what you cannot control, and anchoring yourself in the present, you transform fear from a prison into a pathway. Remember, fear is only as real as the power you give it. With mindfulness, patience, and self-compassion, you can illuminate the shadows of your mind and step boldly into the life you deserve. As the Buddha taught, you are not the storm, you are the calm awareness behind it. You already hold the key to freedom. It's time to unlock your courage and rise beyond your limitations. Fear may knock, but peace is always your choice. If you found this video inspiring, like and share it to help others unlock their courage too. And don't forget to subscribe to Buddhist Thoughts for more transformative Buddhist insights that guide.